What happens when a black woman holding the weight of a $2 billion contract is told, with a single dismissive glance, that she doesn't belong in first class? The gate hums with the rhythm of rolling suitcases and overhead voices calling final boardings. Amid the noise, one voice cuts through, a command without curiosity. Economy is to the right. The tone isn't loud, but it carries that weight every black woman recognizes, the assumption of misplacement. Naomi Carter doesn't flinch. She's holding a first-class ticket, seat 2A, printed clearly in black ink. Her fingers don't tighten, her breath doesn't change. The woman behind the podium, badge gleaming under the airport lights, doesn't even glance at the ticket. Her folded arms say enough. Naomi's eyes move once, quietly, to the man just waved through without pause. Same line, same carpet, different judgment. The space around her shifts, the kind of silence people create when they're unsure if they should intervene. The crowd senses the imbalance but hides it behind screens and fake scrolling. She steps forward anyway, the soft tap of her heels the only sound she allows. No raised voice, no scene, just a calm, impossible patience that makes the air thicken. She holds the pass out again, her voice low but steady. You haven't scanned it. Phones begin to rise, not yet recording, just waiting. Something invisible has cracked. The agent exhales sharply, still refusing to move. Naomi doesn't fill the silence. She lets it stretch until even the hum of the gate feels uncomfortable. Power, she's learned, begins in stillness. Every step Dr. Naomi Carter takes across the terminal is a statement. At 42, she carries herself with the practiced composure of a woman who has weathered boardrooms sharper than any boarding gate. Her suit, tailored in deep charcoal, falls in clean, assertive lines that echo authority without ostentation. Beneath it, an ivory silk blouse softens the edges, reminding those who look closely that strength can be paired with grace. Simple diamond studs catch the light, not to flaunt wealth, but to signal a clarity no distraction can obscure. Unlike the harried travelers juggling bags and coffee cups, Naomi moves lightly, effortlessly. In one hand, a slim leather carry-on, a veteran of hundreds of flights, discreet but unmistakably expensive. In the other, a phone, its sleek screen locked yet heavy with power. What no one around her knows is that inside this device rests more leverage than most corporations can imagine. Contracts, approvals, entire industries waiting for her touch. She does not hurry. She does not need to. Her pace reflects someone used to being the center of gravity in any room, someone for whom patience is not passivity, but strategy. And though the concourse hums with the anonymous buzz of ordinary travelers, Naomi's presence bends the atmosphere. Heads turn without quite knowing why. A security officer straightens as she passes, unsure whether it is her posture, her eyes, or the invisible weight of command that demands respect. To the crowd, she is simply a poised black woman preparing to board her flight. To those who truly know her world, she is far more, the gatekeeper of a $2 billion decision waiting to be sealed. What the boarding agent ahead is about to forget, and what Naomi herself has learned to embody, is that power doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it arrives walking quietly across a carpet, waiting for the right moment to strike. Behind Dr. Naomi Carter, a small cluster of associates lingers, their tickets marked for business class. They are not bodyguards, not assistants, scrambling for relevance, but seasoned executives in their own right, directors, strategists, advisors who have stood beside Naomi in boardrooms where fortunes shifted overnight. Yet here at Gate A14, they remain deliberately in the background, careful not to step on the plush carpet reserved for first. It is not timidity, it is discipline. They know the ritual. Let her board first, never interfere. Naomi prefers it this way. Her authority is not performed through entourages or noise. It is sharpened in silence, in her ability to stand alone without needing a shield. Her team respects this, understands it, even admires it. For years, they have watched her dismantle arrogance with a single question, reverse impossible deals with a single clause, and win respect without ever needing to raise her voice. One of them, a younger strategist barely into his 30s, tightens his grip on his laptop bag, instinctively ready to step forward should she need support. But an older colleague catches his eye, a subtle shake of the head. They all know the unspoken code. Naomi fights her own battles, and she wins them on her terms. From their vantage point, they can see the gate agent ahead, Melissa Grant, straight-backed and severe, treating the small square of carpet like her private kingdom. They can sense the tension about to rise, the way the air changes just before a storm. And though every instinct tells them to intervene, they stand back. Because Naomi Carter has taught them, time and again, that the most powerful response often comes not from a chorus, but from the solitary voice that refuses to be silenced. The line moves forward, each beep of the scanner a small ritual of permission. A white man in a navy suit steps up to the podium. His hair is neatly parted, his shoes polished, his expression bored but confident. He barely slows his stride as he hands over his boarding pass. Melissa Grant, the gate agent, glances at it for less than a second. Beep. Green light. She flashes a professional smile, almost automatic, and waves him through without hesitation. The man disappears into the jet bridge, swallowed by the luxury awaiting him in first class. For him, the square of carpet was a brief step, not a barrier. The ritual is seamless. He belongs. Then Naomi approaches. The shift is instant, visible. The faint smile on Melissa's lips vanishes, replaced by a hard, flat line. Her posture stiffens as if the very sight of Naomi crossing onto the carpet has broken some unspoken rule. Naomi holds out her boarding pass calmly, her hand steady. The small rectangle of paper glints under the fluorescent light. Seat 2A, first class. There is no hesitation in her eyes, no doubt in her stride. But Melissa does not move to scan. Instead, she folds her arms across her chest, the scanner resting idle by her side. Economy is boarding to the right, Melissa says, voice clipped, carrying just loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. Heads turn. The air around the gate shifts. The subtle drop in pressure that comes before turbulence. Naomi doesn't flinch. She simply extends the pass again, patient but unyielding. Around them, whispers ripple through the crowd. They've seen the man in the navy suit pass without question. They see the difference now, stark and undeniable. A confrontation is forming, and though most don't yet know who Naomi Carter really is, everyone feels it. The gate has just become a stage, and this moment is no longer routine. It is conflict. The space around the gate tightens, invisible but heavy, as Melissa Grant sharpens her voice. Priority lane is for first class and elite members only. Please step aside. Her arms remain folded, the scanner untouched. The words land like stones, loud enough for the surrounding passengers to hear. Naomi's boarding pass is still outstretched, calm in her hand, its black print reading 2A, first class. She does not lower it. Her tone stays even, unshaken. You haven't scanned it. Please do. But Melissa shakes her head, her chin lifting with the authority of someone convinced the carpet is her kingdom. We've had problems with people trying to slip in. Economy is that way. She gestures sharply toward the crowded line to the right. Around them, heads turn. The man who had been waved through moments ago glances back, brows furrowed. A woman holding a toddler mutters under her breath, "She's clearly first class." Another passenger adds, louder this time, "Just scan it." The tension ripples outward. A teenager lowers his phone, angling the camera with the casual disguise of scrolling. Another traveler adjusts his glasses and leans to whisper, "Watch this, it's about to blow up." Still, Naomi does not raise her voice. She does not argue. She simply extends the pass again, steady like a verdict. Seat 2A is mine. Phones begin to rise higher now, as if on cue. Screens glow, recording lenses tilt. The crowd knows they are watching something more than a boarding dispute. This is a confrontation written across every gesture, and it is about to become evidence. What do you think will happen next? Comment 1 if you believe she'll step aside, or 2 if you know she will stand her ground. The boarding pass finally leaves Naomi's hand, plucked from her fingers as though it might soil the one who touches it. Melissa's lips tighten as she slides it under the scanner. Beep. A crisp green light flashes on the screen, a universal signal understood in every airport in the world. Valid. First class. Cleared. But instead of moving aside, Melissa stiffens. Her fingers tap rapidly across the keyboard, her jaw locked. The machine still glows green, yet her words arrive cold, practiced. The system is glitchy today, she announces flatly. That seat has been reassigned to a priority client. You'll be accommodated later. The word accommodated falls like a stone. Around them, silence deepens, the normal buzz of the terminal thinning into disbelief. Passengers shift in place, their eyes darting between the glowing scanner and Melissa's impassive face. The lie is naked, visible, undeniable. Naomi reclaims her boarding pass with composure, her voice level but edged with iron. I purchased this seat weeks ago. Melissa doesn't blink. You'll receive a voucher, she replies smoothly, her body angled to block the lane, the square of carpet now a wall she intends to enforce. A ripple moves through the line. Someone whispers, "That's not right." Another mutters, "She just proved it scanned green." The teenager's phone lifts higher, no longer disguised. This is no longer just boarding. This is a story in the making. Naomi stands motionless, her carry-on resting quietly at her side. The pass glows faintly in her hand, the truth obvious to everyone watching, and yet she is told to wait, to move, to shrink. For the first time, the crowd recognizes it fully. This is not a glitch. This is bias on display. The hush at gate A14 is nearly complete now, a silence stretched thin and sharp. Even the rolling suitcases seem to pause, their wheels stuttering as though unwilling to break the moment. Naomi Carter does not shift her weight, does not step back. She holds the boarding pass as steady as a gavel. Melissa Grant's jaw tightens. She presses two fingers discreetly against her radio, a signal well-practiced, summoning backup. Within moments, two uniformed security officers appear from the side corridor, their presence tall and deliberate. One of them scans the situation quickly, his eyes moving from Naomi's calm face to the glowing green confirmation, still pulsing on the scanner. "What's the problem here?" he asks evenly. Melissa doesn't hesitate. "Passenger confusion," she says briskly, waving a hand as though brushing away dust. "We'll reseat her in economy." The words land like a slap. A murmur ripples across the waiting line, louder this time. "Economy, she just scanned green." Someone hisses. Another voice rises. "That's discrimination." Naomi lowers her hand, placing the boarding pass gently on the podium, as if she were laying evidence before a jury. Her eyes lock on Melissa, not hard, not raised, but unflinching. When she speaks, her voice carries across the gate without effort, each syllable distinct. "Policy is a word," she says, her tone quiet but undeniable. "Dignity is a standard." Gasps scatter through the crowd. Phones click louder, recording from every angle. The moment is no longer just about a seat. It has become a confrontation over meaning itself, what rules are meant to serve, and what dignity demands. Melissa bristles, snapping, "Board or step aside." But Naomi does neither. Her silence is louder than shouting, and the crowd knows it. They are standing inside history as it happens. Naomi does not rise to Melissa's command. She does not argue. Instead, she sets her leather carry-on neatly beside her, as though claiming ground on the square of carpet itself. The crowd leans closer, expecting her to protest, to demand, to push back with words. But Naomi Carter has always known the sharpest blade is the one no one sees coming. She reaches into her blazer and withdraws her phone, its glass surface catching the fluorescent light. For a heartbeat, she holds it in her palm, thumb hovering above the screen. Two associates standing back in the business line tense instinctively, ready to intervene. But she lifts her other hand slightly, palm down, a quiet signal. "Stand down." The screen glows. A secure channel opens, a channel known to only 3 people in the world. Naomi types 2 words, nothing more. "Freeze contract." Her thumb presses send. The message detonates in silence. Miles away in a Manhattan skyscraper, the Treasury Division of Liberty Skies Airlines watches in disbelief as a wire transfer halts midstream. On a screen where numbers usually cascade in confident green, a line of red blinks. Transaction paused. The deal, $2 billion in aircraft financing, months in the making, is no longer theirs. It rests now in the hand of the woman standing calmly at gate A14. To the passengers around her, Naomi merely looks like she sent a text, maybe to a friend or family member. To those who will feel its impact within minutes, it is an earthquake. Naomi slips the phone back into her pocket. Her face remains serene, her silence unbroken. Around her, the crowd stirs uneasily, not yet knowing why, but sensing somehow that this black woman has shifted the balance of power without lifting her voice. The hum of the terminal is broken by a crackle on a supervisor's radio. Daniel Ortiz, head of gate operations, stiffens at the sound, his hand instinctively moving to his earpiece. The voice on the other end is sharp, urgent, out of rhythm with the normal cadence of boarding calls. His brow furrows, color draining slightly from his face. Something has shifted, something bigger than a seat assignment. Passengers notice. A woman holding her toddler leans to whisper, "Why does he look nervous?" The crowd senses that unseen gears are grinding somewhere far above Gate A14. Daniel steps forward, eyes flicking from the glowing green scanner to Naomi, who stands silent, poised, her boarding pass resting like evidence on the podium. He clears his throat, lowering his voice, though everyone can hear the weight in it. "Dr. Carter," he says carefully. The use of her name sends a ripple through the line. Heads turn sharply. "Doctor?" The murmurs rise, thick with curiosity. On behalf of the station, Daniel continues, "I apologize for what happened at this gate." His words hang in the air, heavy with implication. He knows more than he's saying. He's been briefed, at least partially, through the crackling voice in his earpiece. Melissa stiffens, disbelief flashing in her eyes. She glares at Daniel as though he has broken some unspoken solidarity. "I'm managing live boarding," she snaps. But the authority in her tone feels thinner now, brittle against the sudden shift in the atmosphere. Naomi inclines her head once, a subtle acknowledgement. She does not move toward the jet bridge. Instead, her voice is calm, measured. "Accountability boards before I do." Passengers gasp softly. Phones tilt higher. The scene is no longer just conflict. It is revelation. Something larger is unfolding, and everyone at Gate A14 feels it. It takes only one gesture to ignite the storm. Near the back of the line, a teenager leans casually against his backpack, thumbs flying across his phone. The screen shows a shaky but clear clip. Naomi standing firm, her boarding pass resting on the podium, her voice carrying through the terminal. "Policy is a word, dignity is a standard." He hits upload. The caption is short, only 4 words. She said, "Dignity first." Within minutes, the clip begins to climb. On TikTok, it flashes across feeds like wildfire. 10,000 views, 50, 100,000. The comments pour in, "She's all of us. This is why I record everything." Who is she? At Gate A14, the crowd remains tense, caught between the rigid posture of Melissa Grant and the unshaken calm of Naomi Carter. They don't yet realize that the world outside already knows. Phones keep lifting higher, strangers recording from every angle, documenting every flicker of expression. The air is thick with anticipation, as though everyone senses they are standing in a moment that will be replayed endlessly. A businessman in line scrolls his feed and stops cold. His eyes widen. Naomi's face, live on his phone, already going viral. He turns to the woman beside him, whispering, "This is blowing up." She glances down, gasps, and lifts her own phone to record. Naomi herself doesn't check her device. She doesn't need to. She stands still, her silence deliberate, her poise unbroken. To the untrained eye, she looks like any other passenger waiting for boarding to resume. But to those watching through their screens, she has already become a symbol, a black woman who refused to be moved. The terminal doesn't know it yet, but the battle at Gate A14 has already left the building. It has entered the bloodstream of the internet, and nothing will stop it now. The buzz starts small, just a hum of notifications in the pockets of passengers still waiting to board. Then, like a tide breaking against stone, it swells. On TikTok, the clip is already climbing past 500,000 views. On Twitter, the caption, "She didn't move, she didn't bend," is retweeted thousands of times. And then a hashtag appears, sharp as a blade. Jack, not first class. At first, it's a whisper. A college student tweets, "Just watched a black woman with a first-class ticket told to step aside." She didn't yell. She said dignity is a standard, just not first class. The post surges across timelines, gathering momentum like sparks catching dry brush. Within minutes, hundreds of variations appear. There's not first class, Dashun dignity first, Nashun 2 billion gone. Inside the terminal, murmurs ripple through the line as passengers glance at their phones. A mother gasps quietly, showing her screen to her partner. It's already on TikTok, she whispers. Look, it's everywhere. The teenager who first uploaded the clip looks stunned as his notifications explode, followers doubling, comments flooding in. Yet at Liberty Sky's glass tower in Manhattan, executives are still oblivious. They shuffle through routine reports, sipping their morning coffee, unaware that the company name is already trending worldwide for all the wrong reasons. To them, Naomi Carter is still just a passenger. To the internet, she is quickly becoming a symbol of something larger. The refusal of black women to be diminished, erased, or told they don't belong. At Gate A14, the crowd is restless now. People whisper openly, some shaking their heads, others lifting phones higher for clearer footage. The air is alive with the sense of history in the making. And in the middle of it all, Naomi remains still, composed, silent, her poise amplifying louder than any outburst could. If you saw this clip pop up on your feed, would you share it or scroll past? Comment share if you know the world needs to see moments like this. The atmosphere at Gate A14 has shifted. What began as tension is now expectation. Every phone raised, every whisper sharpened. Naomi Carter does not shrink into the corner, nor does she retreat to the quiet anonymity of the crowd. Instead, she steps forward again, her carry-on steady at her side, her boarding pass held like a verdict. The scanner still glows faintly, a reminder of what everyone has already seen. But Melissa Grant stands rigid, arms folded once more, determined to enforce her illusion of control. Her eyes flash with irritation, as if Naomi's composure were an act of rebellion in itself. Then Supervisor Daniel Ortiz approaches, his voice breaking through the charged silence. "Scan it," he says firmly. Melissa hesitates. "Ma'am, I explained," she begins, but Daniel cuts her off, sharper this time. "I said scan it." The order slices through the concourse. Melissa's hands tremble slightly as she takes Naomi's boarding pass and slides it under the scanner once more. Beep. The sound rings clear, unambiguous. The screen glows green. Seat 2A, first class. Valid. The crowd exhales all at once, a collective gasp of vindication. Passengers nod, murmur, raise phones higher to capture the undeniable evidence. Naomi meets Melissa's eyes, calm but immovable. "Seat 2A is mine," she says evenly. And then, after a heartbeat of silence, she adds words that ripple across the room like thunder. "Those days are finished." The reaction is electric. Someone whispers, "She's right." Another says, "This is history." The words spread instantly, captured on dozens of recordings, ready to explode beyond the terminal. And Naomi stands there, not triumphant, not boastful, simply resolute, the embodiment of a truth too long ignored, now spoken aloud. Across town, in the gleaming glass tower of Liberty Sky's Airlines, the morning was supposed to be routine. Coffee cups line mahogany desks, analysts skim through pre-market reports, and executives prepared for another day of managing numbers that moved billions. But one screen suddenly froze, not metaphorically but literally. Anthony Brooks, the CFO, leans forward, confusion tightening his jaw. The wire transfer he has been monitoring, $500 million scheduled to land at 9 sharp, now blinks red. A single line on the screen flashes. Transaction paused. His throat goes dry. "Check the system," he orders. But the analysts are already pale, shaking their heads. "It's not a glitch, sir. Authorization revoked. Carter Capital pulled it." The room stills. The name hangs in the air like smoke. Carter, Naomi Carter. On the other side of the table, Linda Park, general counsel, snaps open a folder. "If she sues, we're looking at hundreds of millions in discrimination damages. If this escalates into a class action, the plaintiffs will line up around the block." Executives exchange frantic glances, voices rising, overlapping. Spin it as a misunderstanding. "Too late. It's viral. We need a statement now." At the end of the table, Jason Patel, head of communications, swivels his laptop toward the group. On the screen is a freeze frame, Naomi at gate A14, boarding pass on the podium, her face calm but unyielding. Beneath the image, a headline screams, Black CEO freezes two-bid ordeal after first-class denial. The CFO sinks into his chair, the enormity dawning. This isn't just bad optics, he whispers. This is existential. And back at gate A14, Naomi Carter hasn't moved. She doesn't need to. Her silence has already detonated in the heart of Liberty skies. At gate A14, the crowd has already chosen sides. Phones are up, recording every flicker of tension. Melissa Grant, rattled by the supervisor's order and the collective stares, tries to reassert control. She waves the next passengers forward, her voice too loud, brittle. Keep moving, let's go. But her hands tremble, betraying the facade. Leaning toward a colleague, her voice lowers to what she thinks is a private mutter. She didn't look like first class, Melissa says, tight and dismissive, a hiss of frustration she never intended to escape the podium. But escape it does. A passenger nearby, phone already in hand, catches the phrase clearly on video. Another, standing close enough to hear, tweets it in real time. Gate agent just said she didn't look like first class. Not first class. Within seconds, the post explodes. 300 retweets, then 3,000. Screenshots ripple across timelines like gasoline ignited. Commenters seize on the phrase instantly. This is what bias sounds like. They said the quiet part out loud. At the gate, murmurs build into a wave of disapproval. She didn't look like first class? One woman repeats aloud, disbelief in her tone. What does that even mean? A businessman mutters grimly. It means they never saw her as belonging here. On social media, the phrase becomes a rallying cry. Hashtags multiply. Yerk not first class, she didn't look. Dignity first. Each one drives the story deeper into public consciousness. Melissa doesn't realize it yet, but with 7 careless words, she has turned a boarding dispute into a cultural reckoning, and Naomi Carter, standing silent, doesn't need to respond. The internet is already answering for her. The murmurs at gate A14 have become a roar of whispers. Phones glow in every direction, hashtags multiply with every second, and the weight of Melissa's words hangs thick in the air. Yet Naomi Carter stands in perfect stillness, her boarding pass resting on the podium as if she is presenting evidence in a trial. Then she steps forward, not onto the jet bridge, but into the center of the storm. She turns slightly, not just to the gate agent or the supervisor, but to the passengers and the cameras recording her every breath. Her voice, when it comes, is steady, calm enough to cut through the chaos like a blade. My name, she says, is Dr. Naomi Carter. The crowd reacts instantly, gasps rippling down the line. Phones tilt higher. The teenager who posted the first clip nearly drops his device. I am not simply a passenger on this flight, Naomi continues, her tone precise. I am the principal investor behind Carter Capital Partners, the controlling stakeholder in the $2 billion contract this airline depends upon. The gate falls silent. Melissa's face drains of color. Daniel Ortiz lowers his head slightly, understanding too late the scale of what is unfolding. Naomi's gaze never wavers. Today I was told to step aside. Let me be clear, it is not I who will step aside. It is the culture that allowed this arrogance to exist. The words land like thunder, carried instantly onto screens far beyond JFK. Within 30 minutes, Liberty Sky's stock ticker begins bleeding red. 10% down, then 15. Headlines flash. Black CEO reveals identity after 2 beyond freeze. Airline in crisis. At gate A14, no one moves. The silence is heavy, almost sacred. They all know it. History is happening right here, on a square of carpet that was supposed to separate who belongs from who does not. Were you shocked by this reveal? Smash the like button if you think this was the ultimate power move. The gate is hushed, but the silence is brittle, ready to shatter. The supervisor's radio crackles again, sharp and undeniable. Daniel Ortiz straightens, his voice carrying louder now. No longer cautious, but commanding. Melissa Grant, he says, his tone like a verdict. Corporate has made a decision. Hand over your badge. Effective immediately, you are relieved of duty. The words slice through the concourse. Gasps ripple outward. Passengers shifting on their feet, phones angling closer to capture every detail. Melissa freezes, her face draining of color. For a heartbeat, she looks like a statue, unable to process that her authority has just been stripped in front of the very crowd she sought to control. I, I was following policy, she stammers, her voice trembling, brittle with desperation. But Daniel doesn't waver. Badge, now! The moment hangs, unbearably taut. Melissa's fingers tremble as she unclamps the plastic badge from her blazer. It drops onto the podium with a hollow clatter, echoing like a gavel through the gate. Two security officers step forward, flanking her without a word. Passengers whisper fiercely, "She's done." "That's justice," another voice murmurs darker. "Not enough." Phones record the sweat glistening on Melissa's forehead, the way her shoulders sag as the officers guide her toward the terminal exit. Naomi Carter doesn't smile, doesn't gloat. She watches calmly, her eyes not on Melissa but beyond her, toward something larger. This was never about humiliating a single agent. It was about exposing a system. The crowd senses it too. This is accountability in motion, not by committee, not hidden in HR files, but live in front of witnesses and the world. By nightfall, the tremors from Gate A14 have become a quake that rattles Liberty skies to its core. In the Manhattan headquarters, the boardroom is a storm of panic, directors snapping at one another, lawyers stacking folders of complaints, investors calling from London and Tokyo demanding answers. The stock ticker bleeds red on every screen, minus 20%, still sliding. The only question left is who will pay. The answer comes swiftly. A press conference is called. Cameras crowd into a sterile briefing room, reporters pack shoulder to shoulder. Millions tune in to the live stream, hungry to witness the fallout. The double doors open. Stephen Whitaker, CEO of Liberty Skies, enters with shoulders hunched, the weight of collapse etched across his face. He adjusts the microphone, his voice low, almost cracked. "My name is Stephen Whitaker," he begins, "and effective immediately, I resign as Chief Executive Officer of Liberty Skies Airlines." Gasps sweep the room. Reporters lunge forward with questions, flashes strobe like lightning. Stephen presses on, his words heavy with practiced remorse. The events at JFK revealed failures of culture and leadership. Failures for which I am responsible. This company may recover, but it will do so without me. He steps back, eyes downcast, leaving the podium as murmurs thunder across the press hall. On Twitter, hashtags spike instantly. Chakshar Justice at 30K feet. Chakshar CEO resigns. Dasha not first class. In cafes and offices across America, debates flare. Was this justice served or vengeance gone too far? But for those who watched Naomi Carter stand unmoved at Gate A14, the message is clear. Her silence has felled not just a gate agent, but the head of an empire. In a quiet conference room high above the city, Dr. Naomi Carter gathers with her team. The storm outside, headlines, hashtags, resignations, has reached a fever pitch. But here the atmosphere is calm, deliberate. She sits at the head of a long oak table, fingers folded, eyes steady, listening as her COO, Grace Monroe, lays down reports. "The deal remains frozen," Grace says. "Competitors are circling. Regulators are circling. Everyone wants to know what it will take for you to release the funds." Naomi doesn't rush to answer. She lets the silence linger. The same silence that broke Melissa Grant at Gate A14. The same silence that toppled Stephen Whitaker from his pedestal. When she finally speaks, her voice is even, decisive. "They think this is about money," she says. "It isn't. It's about dignity. If Liberty Skies wants this partnership revived, it will be under new terms." One by one, she lays them out. A passenger dignity clause written into every contract, binding and enforceable. Independent bias audits conducted annually with results made public, not buried in corporate reports. Mandatory incident reporting within hours, not months, ensuring accountability cannot be delayed. Oversight boards with passenger representation, empowered to suspend executives who ignore complaints. Her team exchanges glances. The demands are bold, sweeping, more than one airline's culture could withstand. But Naomi's eyes never waver. "They want my capital," she continues, "then they will meet my standard." It is no longer a negotiation. It is a redefinition of power. And through her words, Naomi makes it clear she is not just fighting for her seat on Flight 97. She is rewriting the rules of the skies. At Liberty Sky's headquarters, the boardroom is no longer a chamber of power. It is a cage. Directors sit stiff in leather chairs, their voices sharp, their faces gray. The numbers on the screen bleed red. Stock down 25%, investors threatening lawsuits, regulators already drafting subpoenas. The once proud airline is cornered, and everyone knows who is holding the blade. The chairman clears his throat, voice brittle. We either meet her terms or we collapse. There is no third path. A few board members protest weakly. She's asking for precedent-setting reforms. If we agree, every contract will demand the same. But their words wilt in the heavy air. They all know the truth. Naomi Carter has left them no leverage. She has already won in the court of public opinion, and without her funds, their financial foundation crumbles within weeks. Finally, the chairman speaks the words no one wants to say, but all know to be true. Draft the agreement. Days later, cameras flash in a Manhattan press hall. For the first time in aviation history, an airline signs what will be called the Passenger Dignity Agreement. Executives, faces pale, put their signatures beneath Naomi's conditions. Dignity clauses, public bias audits, transparent reporting, passenger oversight boards. And there, at the center of the storm, stands Naomi Carter. Not triumphant, not vengeful, resolute. When a reporter calls out, "Dr. Carter, is this victory?" She shakes her head lightly. "It's not victory," she says. "It's a beginning." The words echo through the hall, captured instantly in headlines, hashtags, and history books. For Liberty Skies, survival now comes tethered to dignity. For Naomi, it is proof that silence, when wielded with purpose, can change the very architecture of power. The press corps leans forward, hungry for details about the frozen 2B deal, about contracts, deadlines, leverage. But Dr. Naomi Carter has something else prepared. She steps to the podium in a midnight blue suit, her posture unyielding yet graceful, and waits until the murmurs subside. "I stood still at a gate," she begins, voice steady, measured. "The world moved. An airline faltered. Leaders resigned. Policies shifted. But consequences alone do not guarantee change. Change requires vision, and vision requires grace." A ripple of confusion moves through the crowd. "Grace?" Reporters exchange puzzled glances, pens hovering. Naomi continues without pause. "Today, I am announcing the Carter Scholarship Fund, seeded with my own capital and supported by partner contributions. This fund will provide full education support for children of aviation employees displaced in this crisis." She allows a beat of silence, "including the daughter of the attendant who denied my seat." The room erupts. Cameras click furiously, voices overlap. "Are you serious? You're paying for her child's future?" Naomi nods once, unwavering. "Because arrogance is not inherited. Shame should not be passed down. A child should never carry the burden of a parent's failure." The words detonate across the airwaves. On CNN, the headline scrolls in real time. "Black CEO funds education for family of gate agent who humiliated her." Social media splits instantly. Hashtags battle between the Hash radical grace and Nash and justice only. Some call it weakness. Others call it history. For Naomi, it is neither. It is power, reshaped into something larger than retribution. What do you think? Was this mercy the ultimate act of justice, or did it go too far? Comment mercy if you see it as strength, or justice if you think she should have ended them. The announcement spreads like wildfire, but instead of a single unified reaction, it fractures the public into battle lines. On Twitter, two hashtags climb the charts side by side: radical grace and justice only. One praises Naomi Carter's decision as proof of a higher standard of leadership. The other condemns it as letting oppressors escape with too little consequence. In living rooms and cafes, debates erupt. A grandmother in Atlanta wipes a tear as she posts, "Mercy is strength. She gave that child a future." Meanwhile, a college student in Chicago slams her keyboard. "We wanted accountability, not charity. Mercy feels like betrayal." Talk shows feast on the controversy. One host sneers, "She humiliated a corporation and then paid tuition for her enemy's kid?" That's Shakespearean irony. Another grows solemn. No, that's not irony. That's rewriting what power looks like. Communities split as well. In churches, pastors praise her decision. Forgiveness is the final proof of strength. In barber shops, men shake their heads. I'd never do it. I'd never pay for the family of someone who tried to erase me. In college halls, students debate until their voices rise, some insisting mercy heals, others shouting justice must cut deeper. And yet, through all the noise, the image of Melissa Grant's daughter clutching a scholarship certificate circulates online, her shy smile igniting fresh waves of arguments. For some, it is hope incarnate. For others, it is proof that justice has been softened. The truth is simple. Naomi Carter has not ended the story. She has pushed it into every household, every thread, every moral compass. And the world cannot stop talking about her. Months later, the storm has settled, but its echoes remain everywhere. The Carter Scholarship Fund surpasses $100 million, hundreds of children enrolled in schools and universities under its banner. Airlines across the world scramble to install passenger dignity clauses and launch bias audits, terrified of becoming the next hashtag. Banks, hotels, even tech companies borrow from her blueprint, each promising accountability in glossy press releases. At JFK, Gate A14 has become a quiet landmark. Travelers pause as they pass, pointing to the square of carpet where a woman once refused to move. Parents tell their children, this is where she changed the rules. Airport staff whisper in break rooms, fearful yet hopeful, aware that even their smallest actions could now become global headlines. And Naomi Carter? She does not gloat, does not chase cameras. She moves with the same calm silence that undid an empire, choosing to let her reforms, not her anger, speak for her. Or, for her, it was never about revenge. It was about principle, about dignity, about rewriting the culture of the skies. Still, the question lingers, whispered across dinner tables, classrooms, and comment threads. Was her grace the ultimate justice, or did it dull the blade? Some insist she proved that mercy is the sharpest form of power. Others argue she let an industry off too easily. But one fact is beyond dispute. Dr. Naomi Carter transformed humiliation into legacy, and the world will never board a flight the same way again. What do you believe? Was Naomi's grace the highest form of justice or a compromise? Comment grace, justice, if you see it as strength, or grace weakness if you think she went too far. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories of Black women rewriting the rules.